A key component of the modern world economy, the chemical industry delivers products and innovations to enhance everyday life. It is also an industry in transformation, where chemical executives and workers are delivering growth and industry-changing advancements while responding to pressures from investors, regulators, and public opinion. Discover how leading companies are approaching these challenges here on The Chemical Show. Join Victoria Meyer, president of Progressio Global and host of The Chemical Show, as she speaks with executives across the industry and learns how they are leading their companies to grow, transform, and push industry boundaries on all frontiers. Here's your host, Victoria Meyer.
Today, I'm really excited to be talking with my friend Calvin Emanuel. Calvin is VP and General Manager of NetZero Solutions for Ecolab. Calvin has spent 25 years in the chemical industry at companies including Shell and BASF, and now he's at Ecolab. And Calvin's a chemist by training and has a real passion, not just for chemicals and the chemical industry, but also for helping introduce chemistry to the youth and continuing to see that we have a successful pipeline of chemists and people interested in support of the chemical industry. So we will be talking about that and more as we get into the podcast. So Calvin, welcome to The Chemical Show.
Victoria, thank you for having me. And I look forward to our conversation today.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here. So let's just jump right in and just, you've had a very long career in chemicals. What got you interested in the chemical industry in the first place, and what's kept you here?
Yeah, Victoria, I think this is a great starting point, because for me, there's a common thread throughout the past 25 years, and it starts off with an understanding of wanting to understand how things work, and then how can you use that knowledge in an applied format, and then how can you use that same knowledge to create value for a customer. So if you take those 3 points and think about my career, it started off in the 10th grade. I had an amazing chemistry instructor, Fletcher Williams. I wanted to know how things worked. He gave me that foundational understanding of what chemistry was and kind of lit a fire in me that continued going forward. I then went on to undergraduate at Auburn, where I'm a War Eagle, proud alum of Auburn University. And
Awesome.
then it took me on to graduate school at Wayne State University, where I graduated with a PhD. And when I think about my work at Wayne State, it was really about, okay, now I understand how things work. Now I've learned how to start to use that knowledge in an applied fashion to solve problems, which then led me into industry, where I worked for BASF and Shell. And it was really there where I had that commercial bug of saying, aha, I can take this knowledge and create value for our customers. And it's kind of led me through my career into where I work today for Ecolab. And so I'm glad to have these opportunities, but there's that common thread of understanding science and putting it to good use.
With your recent move to Ecolab, you've gone from some really manufacturing and product focused companies in Shell and BASF to a company that I at least perceive as being very service oriented with Ecolab. What's been the biggest surprise as you've made that move?
Yeah, Victoria, I think the biggest surprise for me really came down to the breadth and scale of the industries that we serve, due to our systems and data-driven insights and this personalized service that we deliver. We service industries from mining to chemicals to refining to data centers, transportation, food and beverage. And so this is a broad array of companies in which we service. I think the kind of going the level down is, not just the breadth of the industries that we serve, but the fact that we have 25,000 sales, service, and RD&E experts that work with our customers around the globe to help address all of the issues that they have. It's amazing. Ecolab is a trusted partner for more than 3 million customers around the globe. And
that's a lot of customers.
That's a lot of customers. It's a lot of customers. But Ecolab itself is a global leader in water, hygiene, and infection prevention solutions and services that protect all of our vital resources around the world. And then Nalco Water is Ecolab's process and water division that really focuses on how do we manage water businesses for our customers.
Awesome. And I think, certainly across the chemical industry, a lot of people probably have experience. I certainly had my first experience with Nalco water when I was in manufacturing, although I've also then seen Ecolab products in various places. So it's an interesting combination.
Yeah, it is. And the common tie that ties these both together is water and the impact that water plays throughout. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to work for Ecolab, just because of our focus on sustainability and, delivering customer-focused solutions.
That's awesome. So one of the other things I think that's interesting, I've been talking with a lot of folks this year about just the customer experience, right? So I think inherently we all understand that customer experience is important. We understand that as consumers, often across the chemical industry, it's maybe not appreciated so much, right? So it's often undervalued because people perceive that it's really a product and performance and price play that matters. And yet we know that the customer experience, how you do business with your customers really matters. And this seems like it's something that Ecolab has figured out, right? Especially in its service orientations. How do you see this having an impact in your business? What does the customer experience mean to Ecolab?
Yeah, Victoria, I would tell you, having had that experience of coming from large chemical manufacturing to Ecolab has been a night and day difference. And it's primarily driven by the fact that we've got this large sales and service staff that are really focused on understanding customer challenges. And then we're looking for ways that we can help them be successful. And a lot of this comes from a smart water management approach that, we start to take in real-time monitoring, digital insights, understanding on a service perspective, and bringing in the solutions that are needed to address our customers' problems. I mean, it is a much different discussion than just saying, hi, I've got product A, would you like product A? It's really more about understanding the needs and making sure we're addressing the challenges they have. Let me give you just an example.
Yeah, that'd be great.
To kind of put it a little more concrete terms. So in the power industry, we actually work with power companies utilizing some of our trademark products, Purate and 3D Tracer and Omni. But ultimately, what we're really doing is we're providing them the equipment and water treatment to help them provide safe, clean, low-cost energy to protect the environment. And so it's really focused on where do they have the problems and how can we provide the technology to address the problems. And for them, this is really about reducing water to minimize chemical consumption and waste and reducing the chemicals' overall environmental impacts. If you look at what we've enabled in terms of annual savings, we've saved 1.5 billion gallons of water and roughly 11 million kilowatt hours of energy. So a
Wow.
lot of energy, a lot of water, and they're all tied together.
Wow, that's interesting. That's really interesting. And I think a lot of companies are sometimes threatened by the idea of helping their customers use less, right? Because it ties back to the value is in the product as opposed to the value is in the overall experience and the results that can be derived from it.
Yeah, and Victoria, I'll tell you, I think this for me has been a great learning experience because I'm so often used to looking at how many KT of product we can move, and now having to focus on outcomes, especially the outcomes of our customers. That's been a great space. And also learning that water is so intimately tied to energy. And if you think about it, water is engaged in, is related to roughly 10% of the global emissions are related to water in some way or form. And that's whether it's using a storage or distribution, or you're heating it or cooling it. There's a lot of energy that gets engaged in water and how it's applied throughout an operation. And if you can optimize on water, you can also lead to optimized outcomes for greenhouse gases and energy consumption.
Interesting. That's really interesting. And that's a great segue. So, the energy industry is in transition and in transformation. And with the energy industry, the chemical industry is also in transformation. And, significant shifts away from fossil fuels, a view of more green, if you want to call it green. I think that's a bit of an oxymoron, but we'll just call it green energy. How does that affect Ecolab? Because obviously you guys are serving large components of the energy industry, refining, power, et cetera. How does that affect you guys?
Yeah, Victoria, and if you think about, I mean, our core focus is to deliver solutions for our customers. And if that's what we're trying to do, we're able to adapt to the changes around the world. So as you talk about a global environment, we have customers that are in water scarce environments. Well, look, for those type customers, we're willing to help them figure out how they can have zero liquid discharge solutions, so that they can still maintain and grow their operations without requiring additional water. In areas where there may be a higher focus on emissions and greenhouse gases, we're able to make that tie between water and energy, and how if you optimize on water, you're going to ultimately optimize on greenhouse gas emissions. And so we can help customers in those regions. So it's just a function of where they are and what are their needs and drivers. And we have the solution set and toolbox to really help address those problems.
Got it. That's interesting. So, so let's talk about NetZero solutions, which I think is maybe what you're alluding to. And this is, I guess, as of January, your new title includes NetZero solutions. What does it mean to Ecolab, and what does that mean for the industry?
Yeah. So often in the chemical industry, most folks think of net zero solutions as being a carbon-based focus.
Right.
But here, I'm really talking about net zero water, which is all about reducing water and energy to improve the environment, save money, and help businesses and communities become more resilient in a changing time. And so for us, this is really about how do we address our customers' challenges that want to achieve net zero? Because for us, it starts with water. And if we can help optimize on water, we can help optimize their energy, which gets them closer to their overall goals.
Yeah. So is this a Western world focus? So I feel like a lot of the net zero, when we talk about it, not just water, but when we think about emissions, et cetera, feels like a more developed world focus area, as opposed to, when you look across the globe. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, no, water is water and net zero. I mean, these are global climate issues. And we've got to figure out how to solve the problems on a global basis, or else, unfortunately, it's not like what we do on one part of the world doesn't impact the rest. This is a common community, and we've got to develop solutions on a global basis. And for us, I mean, there's nothing more fundamental, whether you're in a developed or developing world, of having access to clean water, whether that be for supporting your own livelihoods or supporting the industries in your area. And you've just got to recognize that climate, energy, and water are all linked together. And you've got to be able to solve that triangle.
Interesting. And, I think about water somewhere, it falls into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's probably at the base, the core of what people need to subsist on. So that's good. And then, I mean, Ecolab has long had a real sustainability focus. And I suppose this fits in, or how does this fit into their sustainability focus?
Yeah, Victoria, you're absolutely right. I think I actually joined Ecolab, and there was a couple of key things that drew me here. And one of those was the focus on sustainability. And so early on, I learned about our focus on people health, planet health, and business health. And if you think about when we talk about people health at Ecolab, this is really focused on how can we make sure the food that gets delivered is clean, sanitary, and produced in the most efficient manner possible. Business health is kind of a third outcome that's important as well, because we recognize that our customers have to be able to have sustainable businesses. And so they need solutions. Yeah, exactly. Without customers,
we all need money. We want business to keep going. Yeah.
Exactly. So we've got to be able to help our customers achieve their business outcomes. And then there's Planet Health, which is really about how do we deliver sustainability and net zero solutions.
Mm.
Um, and for me, I mean, that is core to what my role is really about. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm extremely fortunate that I'm able to work with our industrial businesses to help their customers achieve their net zero water goals. And I get the pull from engineering, from our digital group, and a marketing team to really help to make sure we've got the right solutions that meet those needs. And so for me, that's super fun, exciting, and makes me glad to come to work every day.
So one of the things I was talking with somebody else earlier today about is in this whole business health, planet health, net zero focus. Um, it feels like a lot of the conversation is happening with the largest companies. And it's not yet trickled down to some of the mid-size and smaller companies. Would you agree with that, or do you see it happening across your footprint of customers?
Yeah, I'd say we see it happening more broadly. And that's really because if you think about sustainability, it is very highly correlated to efficiency. And I oftentimes think about it as a coin with two sides, sustainability and efficiency. And if you're doing sustainable operations, that means you're producing more and using less. And I can't tell you, if you have a company that wants to produce more using more versus somebody who wants to produce more using less, I'm betting on the more efficient, more sustainable company in the long run.
Yeah,
And
makes
that's
sense.
ultimately what we really want to get to. And I think for Ecolab, this is just tied back to, you know, what it is we want to do in this space of being sustainable leaders.
Awesome. That's cool. All right. So I'm going to turn the tide a little bit. So you are a board member for the Chemical Education Foundation. And I know that you've been very active in CEF for many years. So can you tell us a little bit about CEF and why it's important to you?
Yes. So CEF is one of these things that I have an absolute passion for. And for me, CEF's overall mission is to um, make science fun and get kids engaged early on so that they are science literate and can support in STEM fields later on in their lives. And I think for me, I'm excited to support CEF because I fully recognize if I had not had a teacher who got me excited about science, I wouldn't be here where I am today. And for me, this is a chance for me to give back and really focus on those pillars of CEF, which are really focused on how do you help teachers give good hands-on science education at that K through 5 level where they may not have the right tools?
Right.
How do we provide tools in general so that if students weren't in a school setting and they wanted to do more of hands-on science and get excited, we have tools for them. And then we also have a national um, kind of quiz format, a national format where kids can compete on STEM and STEM literacy. And it's just great to get a chance to see kids from across the nation get a chance to compete and show how great they do in these areas. Um, but I could talk about CEF forever because I get excited about it, and I think it has such an opportunity to make a huge impact for not just the kids in the community, but for also the industries that are in those communities as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I
and
think that's right. I mean, I think we need to help develop um, good community members who appreciate the chemistry around them, right? And
exactly,
so it crosses broadly whether you're in the industry or whether you are just a consumer of the industry. We need to have that knowledge spread broadly.
yeah. And if you can, look, if you can help increase the skill set of the teachers in your community or around you, it's a great way. I mean, you start to build people that understand the value and the benefits that chemistry can begin at an early age. And
Yeah.
I think that's great for us, and especially supporting the communities in which we all work and live.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's awesome. So what's next for you and for Ecolab? What do we see playing out in 2022 and beyond?
Yeah, I think for me, this is the exciting part. We've just kicked off Net Zero Solutions, but I'll tell you, we have clear goals over the next 10 years so that we will continue to be sustainability leaders. We have what I think are fairly aggressive goals from an Ecolab perspective that target around water and climate and demonstrate how we can help drive the positive results for our customers and their surrounding communities. And if I just kind of look back and say, that's kind of the future look. But if I look back, I can tell you, we've actually made significant progress towards the achievement of our 2030 goals. We're roughly 62% of the way to achieving our 2030 goals. And 30%.
That sounds precise and not rough, by the way, but okay.
I'm a chemist, and it's
you like your numbers. I'm good with that.
I like my numbers. I like that. Yeah. And we're roughly 30% of the way towards our water use and reduction goals. And so that was as of 2020. So we're getting there.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
But I think the key thing for us is we recognize there's more to do. And it's really about how do we focus on our customers and helping them achieve their goals.
Awesome. Well, Calvin, thank you. That's really interesting. Thank you for joining us today. I know people are really delighted to hear from you here on the Chemical Show. We've got people that have told me they're looking forward to having Calvin on the show. So I hope we can satisfy them. So thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Victoria, thank you so much for having me. Look forward to having more conversation with you and hearing more of the great shows on the Chemical Show.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed your time with us and want to learn more. Simply visit thechemicalshow.com for additional information and helpful resources. Join us again next time here on The Chemical Show with Victoria Meyer.